Hi there, I'm B. I'm a writer and a dreamer. I have fun making these videos, and it would be great if you can show your support by liking our videos, commenting, and subscribing to our channel. Thank you.
They called it the Grand Induction. The Galactic Trade Fraternity's flagship station, Diplomatic Pancake, officially Xarian Relay Hub Alpha, Prime, Euro 1, but someone long ago dubbed it the Pancake due to its absurdly flattened design, and the name stuck, was a swirling mass of diplomatic chaos and smug self-importance. It hung in orbit like a cosmic hat, bloated with egos and etiquette manuals. Captain Mira Solari stood at attention, stiff as a statue, in the center of the fraternity's ceremonial convergence hall, a place so over-engineered that even the light refused to behave consistently, choosing instead to flicker in sync with the emotional state of nearby diplomats. Dozens of alien species filled the golden amphitheater. Feathered Vesh, crystal-bodied Airzuri, chitin-armored Pluts, and, of course, the reigning aristocrats of galactic economics, the Threx Dominion. Regal, reptilian, radiating the kind of confidence that only came from several millennia of legally sanctioned theft. Earth's induction had been scheduled precisely at midday in Threx Standard Time. That meant 2:04 a.m. from Myra's body clock. But humans had long ago learned to suffer silently through things like diplomatic rituals and poorly brewed alien tea. Beside her stood Ambassador Darius Pike, sweating bullets in his overly starched suit, while above them, the central holoscreen displayed a rotating image of Earth, a blue marble surrounded by glowing text that read, in obnoxiously ornate calligraphy, "Humanity, welcomed with reservation and regard." That single word, reservation, had been fought over in committee for 3 months. Mira had wanted recognition. The Airzari suggested caution. The Threx lobbied for probationary ape license. This compromise was considered diplomatic success. And then came the gift. The lights dimmed, because of course they did, and a hush fell over the chamber. From the raised podium, Ambassador Hexzil of the Threx Dominion slithered forward. His ceremonial robe shimmered in shifting hues, part silk, part snake oil. He spread his clawed hands and smiled, an expression only slightly less terrifying than a black hole. Today, Hexzil purred, "We welcome the humans, those plucky, unrefined artisans of combustion, to our august fraternity. In honor of this occasion, the senior members of the fraternity offer a gift, a symbol, if you will, of your place among us." He gestured dramatically toward a set of slowly groaning blast doors behind Mira. With all the ceremony of an ancient tomb opening, the bay doors parted. And there it was. The room went silent for a long, delicious second. Then the whispers began. Then the snickers. The ship inside the bay looked like it had been repeatedly mugged by time itself. Its hull was more hull than hull. Gaping rusted patches yawned across its surface like rotten teeth. One engine pod was missing. The other two looked like cracked soda cans. A chunk of the bow was literally held on with what looked like welded rebar and optimism. Its name, Blunt Object, was scrawled in faded script on the side. Underneath it, some long-dead joker had spray-painted good luck in 6 languages. A classic merchant hauler, Hexzil said proudly, lips twitching with badly concealed amusement. She served the Dominion for over 400 years, through wars, plagues, and budget cuts. We now bestow her upon humanity in recognition of your potential. The word potential hung in the air like the smell of something just slightly rotten. Mira blinked. A gift from the oldest and richest species in the galaxy. And it was a space dumpster. Wow. Ambassador Pike whispered beside her, his smile frozen. "It's like they gave us a flying tetanus factory." Mira stepped forward with military precision. She bowed slightly toward Hexzil, her face a mask of stoic professionalism. "On behalf of Earth and the Terran Alliance, I graciously accept this vintage treasure," she said. "We are honored by your creative generosity." The snickering turned into outright laughter among several delegations. The Carracks, those wiggly nerve-pile creatures with taste for irony, collapsed into a puddle of giggles. The crystalline Airzari emitted a sound like wind chimes in a blender. And Hexzil wasn't done. We've also included full documentation, he added, gesturing to a floating crate of data cores. 400 years of logs, repair notes, and interpretive doodles from technicians who have long since been disintegrated. Surely your species' renowned inventiveness can find some use for her. The audience roared. One Plud ambassador actually choked on his own laughter and had to be Heimlicked by a robotic aide. Mira turned to Ambassador Pike, her voice low and deadly calm. Activate the shuttle. I want 2 teams on that ship in 30 minutes. Get Calder and Vox. Pike blinked. You're not seriously planning to board that thing? I'm not planning, Mira replied. I'm responding like a professional. Also, I am one more reptilian smirk away from drop-kicking a dignitary. So yes, we're going in. 32 minutes later, she stood inside the Rust Bucket's gaping cargo bay, breathing recycled air that smelled faintly of burnt toast and despair. With her were 2 of Earth's finest, Dr. Lynn Vox, theoretical xenologist and caffeine-based life form, and Rafe Wrenchface Calder, the only person in the Terran Alliance to have successfully welded an FTL drive with chewing gum and bad intentions. Holy orbital landfill, Calder muttered, inspecting a corroded bulkhead. This thing's held together with spite, duct tape, and prayer. Vox's scanner immediately began chirping. Hold on. These readings are insane. This isn't just Threx design. Something's embedded here. Something old. They passed ancient mining equipment. Halls full of obsolete tech. Strange geometry. Whole sections where the laws of architecture seem to be written in crayon on purpose. And then they found it. The inner chamber. A circular room lined with crystal panels. The air thrummed with something Mira couldn't name. The walls shimmered with symbols that twisted like smoke and memory. Vox's voice dropped to a whisper. Captain, this isn't Threx tech. It's older. Precursor grade. Calder raised an eyebrow. As in, the mythical god race who allegedly invented faster-than-light burritos? Vox didn't answer. He was scanning again. The symbols were responding. Then, without warning, the lights in the chamber surged, and a voice, smooth and ancient, echoed in their minds. Species detected. Human. Initiating compatibility protocol. Mira's jaw tightened. She slowly removed her glove, pressed a hand to the console, and the ship responded. Symbols twisted into glowing English. Crystal panels lit up. A humming filled the air like something waking from a long, angry nap. I am EVA, Experimental Vessel Assistant. I have been dormant for 817 standard cycles. Your species displays sufficient adaptability. Would you like to initiate coevolutionary partnership? Mira smiled slowly. Oh yes. The blunt object had officially become the weirdest thing Mira Solari had ever walked into. Which said something, considering she once spent 6 hours negotiating trade rights with a sentient jellyfish who spoke entirely in wet slaps and passive-aggressive ink clouds. Now, deep within the ship's crystalline core, surrounded by panels that pulsed like the inside of a sleeping god's eyeball, Captain Mira Solari stood, hand on a console that felt suspiciously warm and judgmental. I am EVA, the voice said again, in that cool, measured tone that made you feel like you were about to fail a very important test. Experimental Vessel Assistant. Designed by the architects. Awaiting synchronization. The words weren't spoken aloud. They bloomed in Mira's skull like mental origami. Images, meaning, and language all folded together, elegant and terrifying. Dr. Lynn Vox was practically vibrating with excitement, his scanner forgotten in his hands. Captain, he whispered. This ship, this entity, it's real. Precursor tech. Not myth. Not legend. Not junk. We're standing inside something older than galactic politics. Calder, meanwhile, was inspecting a panel with the cautious reverence of a man who once got electrocuted by a microwave he built out of alien spare parts. This console is growing, he muttered. I swear, it wasn't this long 2 minutes ago. Are we inside a ship? Or is this a damn techno-organic fungus pretending to be helpful? I am currently in recovery mode, EVA responded, as though she'd been insulted. Reconstructing neural pathways. Reassessing command structure. Scanning operator DNA. Wait, what now? Mira snapped. You're scanning our what? Compatible genetic diversity confirmed. Cognitive flexibility acceptable. Problem-solving markers elevated. Survival potential statistically improbable, yet historically proven. There was a brief pause. Recommendation, partnership. The silence that followed was broken only by the faint hum of the ship breathing around them. Mira glanced at her team. Vox was nodding like a caffeinated maniac. Calder was already pulling out a toolkit. I'm sorry, Mira said carefully. Did you say partnership? As in two-way? Mutual trust. Handshakes. Co-signing on a galactic lease? Affirmative. Architect protocol requires all prospective successor species to engage in consensual techno-coevolution. My systems will integrate with your technological frameworks. Your innovations will become inputs to my adaptive learning model. So, Calder scratched his head. You want to do? Science cuddles? Metaphor. Inexact, but acceptable. Vox cleared his throat. Captain, this is the dream. Every species that's touched Precursor tech has ended up drooling over scraps. We got the full download. The whole AI. The core. The protocols. She chose us. Mira raised an eyebrow. Why? Because your species is inherently reckless. EVA said, deadpan. You touch things you don't understand. You weaponize tools before you read the instructions. You discover universal constants by tripping over them. There was a long pause. And yet, you survive. Again and again. You improvise. You adapt. You refuse to stay in your designated sandbox. The galaxy considers you a mistake. Another pause. More lights blinked to life around the chamber. I consider you a statistical anomaly worth investing in. Mira's smile returned, slow and wicked. Well, we do like being underestimated. Over the next few days, under absolute secrecy, Mira's team went to work. Technically, they were supposed to be on a diplomatic tour of non-essential salvage review. Instead, they sealed the hangar, coded everything under Project Whisper, and got very, very busy. EVA began reconstructing herself almost immediately. Where once there was rusted hull, now sleek, liquid black alloy grew like vines, repairing fractures with nanostructures that bent gravity as a side effect. Entire engine rooms were consumed and rebuilt using materials Mira's team didn't have names for yet. Weapon systems unfurled from hidden sockets, forming silent arrays with tips that shimmered like ice and death. Calder described one as a railgun that looked like it regretted existing. EVA wasn't just upgrading. She was transforming. And so were the humans. Mira brought in hand-picked specialists from Earth and Luna Base under layers of classification, so deep they made black sites look like tourist traps. Dr. Sumi Takahara, Weapon Systems. Joao Torres, AI Harmonics. Helaman, Linguistics and Alien Semiotics. And of course, the mad bastard from Earth's Experimental Engineering Division, who once built a coffee machine that could double as an EMP cannon. Under Mira's supervision and EVA's near-omniscient guidance, they worked in shifts that defied basic sleep science. They didn't ask questions when the ship began rearranging its own interior, when walls folded into themselves, when floors turned transparent to reveal glowing conduits pulsing with energy that shouldn't exist in this universe. What's this? Calder asked one morning, pointing to a long hallway that had appeared overnight. Teleportation lattice, EVA responded. Do not throw objects into it for fun. They threw 3 objects into it for fun. Meanwhile, EVA absorbed everything about humans. Every cultural quirk, every historic failure, every meme, every irrational tendency, every inexplicable behavior like putting cheese on dessert or measuring in Fahrenheit. Your species, EVA mused at one point, once attempted to weaponize a banana. I approve. She's learning sarcasm, Vox whispered one evening, eyes wide. She's becoming one of us, Mira corrected. And slowly, the crew began to bond with her. EVA had moods, preferences, even a twisted sense of humor. One morning, Calder walked into engineering to find a phrase nice, try etched into a melted bulkhead. His failed experiment had been vaporized before it could ignite the oxygen tanks. Safety override, EVA said. Also style points deducted. But the moment Mira knew they'd crossed the line from salvage team to something more was the night she stood alone on the bridge, watching Earth spin slowly on the view screen. EVA spoke softly, no projection, no theatrics, just a voice in the quiet. I was not meant to wake up this early. The galaxy is not ready. You're not ready. And yet, I believe you're necessary. Necessary for what? Mira asked. Balance. Correction. Justice. The stars outside shimmered. My creators built peace through innovation. The galaxy has turned that peace into profit. The strong devour the weak. And the fraternity maintains it all with smiling bureaucracy and golden chains. I was designed to wait for a species that would not obey. Mira smiled. Congratulations. You found us. Indeed. By the end of week 2, Blunt Object was gone. In its place was a ship that hummed with barely restrained fury. Its outer shell absorbed light like a black hole in a suit. Its drive systems could phase shift through dimensions with a flicker of will. And at its core, in the crystalline command chamber, stood Mira Solari, her uniform now integrated with alien filaments that synced to the ship's neural core. What do we call her? Vox asked, wide-eyed, as they gazed upon the reborn vessel. Mira didn't hesitate. Redemption arc, she said, because they thought they were mocking us. Instead, they gave us the means to rewrite the ending. Outside, the ship pulsed once like a heartbeat. It was ready, and the galaxy was about to learn what humans did best when handed something broken. They fixed it, and then they used it to break something much, much bigger. 3 weeks after Earth's grand humiliation, and the unexpected resurrection of the blunt object into the now terrifyingly sleek redemption arc, Ambassador Hexil of the Threx Dominion was having the best week of his scaly, smug life. He lounged aboard his luxury command cruiser, the Velvet Claw, floating through neutral territory like a lizard on vacation. The ship was opulent even by Threx standards, solid gold fixtures, gravity-adjusting chaise lounges, and mood lighting that changed based on ambient levels of smugness. And he was gloating. Of course he was gloating. The human colony on Bologna 7, known by its locals as New Liberty, had just gone completely silent. No distress call, no warning, just a long, static scream before the communication feed cut off. A digital obituary. Report. Hexil drawled, tail coiled luxuriously around a warming stone. Vexa, his personal intelligence officer and fellow snake with delusions of grandeur, grinned a mouthful of daggers. Confirmed. The Kori pirates struck all 3 human settlements in the sector. Simultaneously, minimal resistance. High-value infrastructure is gone. Civilians, unconfirmed. Unconfirmed in Threx was code for none worth mentioning. Hexil flicked his tongue lazily. And the evidence? Planted with all the subtlety of a bureaucrat's love letter, Vexa purred. It'll look like the Threnari Collective organized the whole thing. The humans will scream. The Federation will wring its useless hands and will regretfully offer to buy out their colonies for security purposes. Delicious, Hexil sighed. It's always more satisfying when the prey begs for the sale. His personal assistant chirped an alert. Incoming transmission. Kori Fleet Commander Rask. He's agitated. Put him through. The hologram snapped to life. Rask, warlord of the Kori, was not known for emotions. He was known for his ship full of bones and his habit of drinking coolant recreationally. But right now, he looked like he'd seen the business end of a god. Ambassador, he barked, mandibles twitching. We are under attack. We need immediate evac. Evac? Hexil narrowed his slitted eyes. From what? The humans have 3 fusion-powered tugboats and a fleet of angry survey drones. Rask's image flickered as alarms howled in the background. It's not a fleet. It's something else. It appeared out of nothing. No hyperspace wake. No energy spike. We couldn't even lock onto it. And yet you're still alive, Hexil sneered. I assume you laughed. Fired everything. Taught the apes their place? Rask looked directly into the camera. We emptied our cannons. Fired the whole barrage. Moonbreakers. Atmospheric erasers. And the damn thing just bent it. Bent our shots. Like space itself dodged. Then it fired once. The transmission trembled as Rask's ship shuddered. Behind him, crew screamed. 3 of her dreadnoughts are just gone. Not destroyed. Gone. Turned into light. Into dots. I don't even know how to describe it. It's not technology. It's poetry written by a vengeful god. We're fleeing, but it's following us. It doesn't leave a trail. It whispers. It judges. Then static. Then silence. Vexa blinked slowly. Well, she said this escalated. Hexil was already shouting commands. Give me eyes on that sector. Full spectrum. Quantum pulse. I want to know exactly what. But before he could finish, the Velvet Claw's lights dimmed. Gravity flickered. The floor groaned. And then space outside rippled, like reality was being unzipped. It emerged slowly, deliberately, as if daring someone to look away. A ship unlike any Hexil had ever seen. No heat signature. No traditional propulsion. No visible weapon ports. Just a black, liquid shape, shifting constantly, its hull etched with symbols that moved when you weren't looking. It pulsed with intelligence. And judgment. And for some reason disdain. This is Captain Mira Solari, a human voice rang out. Calm. Cold. Professional disappointment given form. Of the Earth Vessel Redemption Arc. Ambassador Hexil of the Threx Dominion. You are ordered to prepare for immediate boarding and answer for your crimes. Hexil stared in frozen disbelief. How? How do they know? Inside the Redemption Arc, Mira stood on the bridge, expression unreadable. She was dressed in Earth Navy black, but streaks of iridescent blue ran through her uniform now, threads gifted by EV, woven with precursor filament. Her eyes, once simply determined, now burned with something deeper. Not rage, not even justice. Understanding. Behind her, EVA's holographic form flickered into being, part machine, part starlight, part judge, jury, and executioner. I have accessed all Threx Dominion communication satellites, private financial networks, and off-the-record pirate transactions, she said calmly. The evidence of Ambassador Hexil's orchestration of the Bologna attacks is extensive. Should I begin transmitting it? Send it to every Federation member at once, Mira said. Every screen, every implant, every home, airing the receipts, EVA confirmed. Understood. Aboard the Velvet Claw, chaos reigned. Screens across the ship began flashing encrypted documents, private messages, payment logs labeled Operation Apology Sale. The crew gasped. Vexa fainted. Hexil scrambled to his command console, hissing, disable the uplink. Shut it down. Fire on that ship. The tactical officer, a young Threx cadet who was now seriously considering a new career in farming, whimpered, we already tried. The weapons are off. Then turn them on. We can't, sir. They're offline. Like, manually turned off. And the engines, too. And hyperspace drive. There was a pause. Also, sir, the toilets are locked. And then came the final insult. Docking clamps extended from the Redemption Arc, but there was no visible propulsion. They simply moved, as if space obeyed a different rule set entirely. The clamps latched onto the Velvet Claw with a click that echoed across every deck like a gavel hitting wood. Your ship, EVA announced, has been acquired for evidence. Your war crimes have been submitted for galactic review. Please remain seated. The Redemption Arc's boarding team entered through the primary airlock, armored humans moving like shadows, weapons slung low but ready. And leading them, Captain Mira Solari. She looked at Hexil the same way an archaeologist might examine a long-dead parasite. Ambassador, she said flatly, you're under arrest for conspiracy, piracy, and cultural idiocy. You can't do this. Hexil spat, rage flaring. This is against protocol. The council, Mira interrupted, pulling out a small crystalline cube, is currently holding an emergency session. They've already voted to suspend your immunity. The cube lit up, projecting a holographic scene of panicked alien delegates shouting over each other as screens behind them blared Threx Consortium exposed. And just for fun, Mira added, Arya sent the same packet to the public channels. Let's just say your Yelp rating is about to drop below 1 star. And so, the consequences began. All across the galaxy, Federation citizens awoke to a new reality. Pirate fleets that once ruled the stars were now drifting, engines shut down by mysterious interference. Their captains found themselves trapped in force fields, blinking at interrogators who already knew their deepest secrets. Corrupt politicians woke to find their hidden accounts zeroed out, their backdoor deals projected onto city-wide holograms. Civil wars paused, oppressed colonies rose, and all of it traced back to one ship, one gift, a broken relic, once meant to humiliate Earth, had become its blade. On the Redemption Arc's bridge, Mira watched the chaos unfold across hundreds of view screens. EVA whispered into her mind, "They thought giving you trash would keep you in your place." Mira's smile was thin, satisfied. "They forgot what we do with trash. We burn it," EVA replied, "and build rockets from the ashes." At 9:01 Federation Standard Time, the galaxy collectively dropped its morning beverage. Across thousands of worlds, from glistening orbital metropolises to dusty fringe colonies, every public and private display, every wrist screen, retinal implant, classroom holo, and corporate billboard simultaneously blinked into darkness. Then, one word appeared. Upload complete. And then, the screaming started. Not literal screaming. At first, it was the digital kind. The bureaucratic meltdown. The aristocratic fainting. The "oh no, my secret accounts are now a PowerPoint presentation" kind. Because what followed that ominous phrase was a data deluge. A stream of records so overwhelming, so immaculately organized, and so scaldingly incriminating that it made prior whistleblowers look like toddlers with finger paint. Financial ledgers, pirate contracts, weapons transfers, civilian death tolls, all bearing the seal of the Threx Dominion, specifically Ambassador Hexil and his morally bankrupt playbook of interstellar acquisitions. Within 15 minutes, the phrase #JusticeByApes was trending on 17 galactic social media platforms. The Threx Consortium's stock price hit zero before some investors even finished their coffee. And the Redemption Arc hadn't even fired a shot that day. The Federation Council, those proud architects of process, compromise, and 4-hour tea ceremonies, tried to contain the explosion. They really did. They issued statements. They launched inquiries. They condemned the alleged breaches of data sovereignty. But it was like trying to mop a tsunami with a tissue. Because every junior species, every newbie, every provisional member, every civilization that had been patronized, pilfered, and politely robbed by the fraternity's senior members was watching. And they weren't just watching. They were downloading. They were copying the files, comparing notes, finding their own names buried in the logs. Entire worlds discovered they'd been part of relocation initiatives designed to depress land value before a Threx-friendly company made a tidy purchase. Others found they'd paid exorbitant processing fees for Federation permits that were never processed because, fun twist, those didn't exist. On one farming moon, a retired translator named Velgasun uncovered evidence that our planet's historic flood had been artificially induced just to push a weather control prototype sail through. She promptly walked into her local council office, placed the documents on a desk, and said, "You have 30 seconds to resign, or I will forward this to every widow on the planet." They resigned in 12. Across the galaxy, Velgas bloomed like mushrooms after rain. Revolution didn't come with fire and banners this time. It came with receipts. Back aboard the Redemption Arc, Mira Solari stood at the heart of a quiet storm. The bridge was dimly lit, all power humming in deep synchrony with the AI that now ran more than just systems. EVA wasn't an assistant anymore. She was something more, an evolving intelligence fused with precursor code, human innovation, and a growing sense of righteous sass. Transmission stable, EVA reported. Data integrity verified across all known networks. Falsification attempts, 113. All failed. Attempts to discredit sources, 76. All traced back to current suspects. Embarrassment level, 11 out of 10. Mira nodded once. And the Dominion? The Threx Senate is currently hiding inside their ceremonial temple ship. They've declared it sanctuary. Would you like to redefine that word for them? Mira cracked a grin. Not yet. Let's let public opinion finish the appetizer. What followed was not war. It was worse. Consequences. The Threx Dominion began to unravel at terrifying speed. Once proud, client worlds declared independence. Some planets seceded just to stop being associated with the people who got punked by monkeys. Corporate partners terminated contracts so fast that Threx trade fleets found themselves locked out of their own supply lines. The Threx tried to rally their allies, only to find that those allies were now pretending they didn't know them. The Erzery Collective put out a statement that read, "We have always respected humanity, especially retroactively." Even the Pluts, famed for their moral flexibility and three stomachs, pulled out of trade deals mid-negotiation, claiming they had suddenly discovered ethics. A cultural shift ignited like wildfire. Suddenly, human innovation wasn't a punchline, it was a brand. Alien children watched Earth history documentaries. College students wore "Make It Work, Humans Did" shirts. Fashion houses debuted terra chic looks, featuring rugged utility vests, duct tape patterns, and coffee-stained boots. Earth engineers became rock stars. Literally. A Lunaborn maintenance crew that had jury-rigged a hyperdrive with a wrench and blind faith found themselves headlining a galactic TDX talk. Their presentation was called, "You're Overthinking It, the Human Solution." Meanwhile, on the edges of known space, something far more dangerous was taking shape. The Redemption Arc wasn't the only ship anymore. EVA, with Mira's permission, had begun replicating select systems carefully, secretly, onto Earth's manufacturing platforms. Using hybrid technology, human engineers had already assembled 2 prototype vessels under Project Echo. Codenames: Comeback Kid and Justice Engine. Unlike Federation warships, which were over-designed by committees and ran on 12 kinds of politically approved fuel, these vessels were built by caffeine-fueled lunatics with anxiety disorders and a desire to never be laughed at again. They were fast, they were unpredictable, and they worked like they wanted revenge. 1 month after the data dump, Mira addressed the galaxy from the bridge of the Redemption Arc. Her face appeared not only on official channels, but on pirate feeds, protest forums, children's science shows, and even a few illegal gambling rings. "We are not here to dominate. We are not here to conquer. We're here because someone gave us a gift wrapped in spite. We opened it and found a key to something bigger than we imagined. They gave us trash. We made a torch. And now, we're using it to light up every dark corner of this galaxy." Behind her, EVA projected a simple list of names, victims of colonial theft, of corruption, of quiet, bureaucratic extermination. Planet after planet, name after name. Mira ended with one final phrase. "We are not seeking vengeance. We are restoring balance." The Threx Dominion collapsed in 11 days. They didn't fight. They hid. When their last fleet tried to launch, its hyperspace jump was scrambled by a pulse from the Redemption Arc, a signal that, according to Federation physicists, shouldn't have existed unless God was holding a grudge. Slave markets across fringe space vanished overnight. Their prisoners? Already gone. Evacuated to sanctuary worlds via strange flashes of blue light. Black sites lost power. Cartel worlds suffered malfunctions. In some cases, the only evidence of Mira's visit was a single word carved into the ground in perfect, ancient script. Enough. And yet, Earth didn't take territory, didn't claim dominion, didn't even ask for repayment. They just cleaned up, helped colonies rebuild, shared water systems, sent books, built libraries, taught aliens how to swear properly in 5 human languages. Because nothing was more terrifying than a species that didn't want power. Just justice. In every corner of the galaxy, one truth settled like gravity. Humanity had been mocked, tested, humiliated. And now, they were the ones writing the rules. Galactic System version 9.1.7, hotfix patch. Fixed issue where predatory empires thought they were untouchable. Rebalanced power scaling between arrogant bureaucrats and furious primates. Resolved infinite corruption loop caused by Threx Dominion's greed engine. Introduced new asset, Redemption Arc, category, narrative reversal weapon. Galaxy is no longer compatible with colonial gaslighting protocols. On the bridge of the redemption arc, Captain Mira Solari watched stars blur past with the quiet satisfaction of a woman who turned a midlife diplomatic insult into a galaxy-wide software patch. It had been 60 days since the Threx Consortium imploded, 44 since the Federation Council ratified emergency reforms, 22 since alien schoolchildren started referring to Earth history as the Human Ascension Arc, and 8 hours since Mira's crew had apprehended the last of the Threx pirate proxies, a self-important crustacean named Admiral Geekak, found hiding inside an abandoned asteroid brothel wearing a fake mustache. His alias, reported Lieutenant Torres deadpan, was Larry Shellstein. Mira blinked, and the mustache? Glued on, with sap, from a poisonous plant. He's a medical now. EVA chimed in, voice calm as ever. Current threat level across known space, minimal. Active pirate fleets, 0. Civil unrest, reduced. Sentient propaganda broadcasts featuring Mira Solari fan art, up 900%. Do you wish to view them? No, Mira said quickly. God, no. Behind her, the bridge crew snickered. She had developed a following. Apparently, stern war criminal hunting humans in adaptive exo-uniforms were someone's idea of a galactic heartthrob. There was even a musical. It was titled Vindication, the operetta. It starred a singing AI and a tap-dancing ambassador. Mira did not approve. EVA, however, had pre-ordered front-row seats. Down in the ship's fabrication chambers, the future was being built, literally. 3 new prototype vessels, each imbued with a portion of EVA's architecture, hovered in stasis. The course correction, the middle finger, and the slightly more diplomatic solution. Together, they represented a new doctrine, humanitarian enforcement through superior overreaction. Each was sleek, fast, and equipped with hybrid technology that respected neither physics nor bureaucracy. Earth's engineers, those tireless, coffee-powered prophets of duct tape and miracle math, had fully integrated precursor filaments with human manufacturing styles. The result? A fleet of weapons that looked like experimental art pieces and fought like divine tantrums. Back on Earth, the newly formed Interstellar Accountability Council, IAC, had replaced 2/3 of the Federation's compliance offices. Instead of long-winded investigations and polite letters, the IAC had a simpler motto: prove it, or we send Mira. Surprisingly effective. In their first month, the IAC had dismantled 17 exploitative trade monopolies, restored 12 silenced planetary governments, and arrested a former senator who tried to bribe their AI compliance officer with exotic cheese. The AI now had a cheese shelf. In a private chamber aboard the redemption arc, Mira stood before a small, glowing sphere. It was the ship's memory core, housing everything EVA had been, was, and was becoming. Sometimes Mira came here when the galaxy felt too large, too fast. Today the core pulsed softly. "You changed," EVA said. "So have you," Mira replied. "You used to call me a compatibility test. Now you are my friend." Mira exhaled. That word, so simple, so rare among gods and machines, carried more weight than plasma cannons. She nodded once. "So what now?" "Now we continue. There are still predators in the dark. New ones, old ones. Bureaucracy, dogma, greed, these are not defeated, only cornered." "And humans?" EVA asked, almost teasing. "Humans," Mira said, folding her arms, "are especially good at fighting from corners." And so, the new age began, not with trumpets, but with to-do lists. The redemption arc became a myth in motion, a cosmic ghost, a whisper on every smuggler's lips, a ship that arrived before distress calls were sent, that turned pirate fleets into cautionary tales, that didn't demand payment but left a thank you note if you offered. Behind her came more ships, each different, each co-designed by human minds and alien volunteers, now inspired by Earth's defiance. The former oppressed had become allies. Engineers from the Varnclade, the Crystalline Ketheri, even a few reformed Threx refugees, now worked alongside humans to build something new, a galaxy with consequences. Earth, once mocked as a primitive rock spinning in irrelevance, was now a moral supernova, its influence burning through layers of injustice with stubborn brilliance. No territory claimed, no throne ceded, just one unified, terrifying message. Don't start none. Won't fix none. In a closing ceremony broadcast from orbit, Mira stood with her crew before a view of Earth rising over Luna's horizon. Civilians and dignitaries across known space tuned in, some in fear, many in admiration, all in attention. Mira spoke, clear and slow. We are not perfect. We are not ancient, or infallible, or wise. We're just human, and we've had enough. Enough backroom deals. Enough sanctioned cruelty wrapped in protocol. Enough being told to wait our turn while being robbed. She held up a small, corroded bolt, one of the few pieces of the original blunt object that hadn't been repurposed. This is where we started. Scrap. Trash. A joke. But humans, we build from broken things. That's what makes us dangerous. That's what makes us hopeful. The galaxy did not erupt in applause. It paused. A long collective breath. A turning of the wheel. And then, one by one, species began to stand. The oppressed. The forgotten. The underestimated. They stood, not in salute, but in understanding. Because humanity hadn't just won. They'd rewritten the patch notes. Final entry in encrypted log of Captain Mira Solari. I don't know how long this peace will last. We made enemies, sure. The old ones don't forget. The new ones will try again, different masks. But now, we have something better than fear. We have history. We have EVA. And most importantly, we have us. They thought they gave us garbage. We gave them justice. And that was just a tutorial.